Good morning, my friends. Welcome. I hope that you found places, or at least one place yesterday, to just wash the dishes. Having that moment completely in the present and completely in your experience of the present. As it is true, we have so much practice in thinking ahead that it becomes sometimes a compulsive habit, and we don't know how to break it. We don't know how to change it or refocus on the present. And that makes it very difficult to be truly intuitive, compassionate, or intimate, all of which require being completely in the present, as do many other states of being. So you see, it's not about the dishes, but you knew that already. So let us sit with our breath, making yourself comfortable in whatever position that is for you. I know for me, I often sit cross-legged in the chair, just because that's what I'm familiar with. And the most common thing is to sit with your feet on the floor, flat and without anything crossing, to go numb or tingly or distract you. Hands in your lap and breathing gently. Noticing the movement of that breath with gratitude and maybe even a little wonder about how it is that life comes into us one moment at a time. Funny thing about that. I was reminded while washing dishes of Ty's line frequently expressed that many of us are alive, but we don't touch the miracle of being alive, which can only happen in the present moment. And so today, we're going to practice with the graceful flowing of the breath, what that feels like, what it might look like if we were to see it outside of ourselves, and why, for any reason, we might want to be able to gain mastery in mindful breathing. So keep your awareness this time with your breath. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. See how you can notice one movement within the whole movement of a breath, where that breath passes from your belly to your chest, or maybe it goes up your spine to your neck. It goes everywhere, but be mindfully aware of all the ways you can feel that breath coming in. You may feel it against your clothing, or you may feel a sense of expansion, or simply a feeling of what is becoming more and more familiar on that in-breath. Your breathing should flow gracefully. Breathing in and breathing out. Notice how the breath is fluid. Ty says it this way. Your breathing should flow gracefully, like a river, like a water snake crossing the river, like a pebble that could gradually sink through the water to the bottom, and not like a chain of rugged mountains or the gallop of a horse. To master our breath is to be in control of our bodies and minds. Each time we find ourselves dispersed, distracted, and find it difficult to gain control of our minds by any different means, or of ourselves, the method of stopping and simply watching the breath should always be used. One of the more amazing things that I have found over the course of time in mindfulness practice is that I have become able, if I call on it, to focus on my breathing, even while my awareness is focused on chaos that is happening outside. And oddly enough, what comes up next is often the awareness of why it is, perhaps, that the other side that my mind is imagining and judging becomes quite understandable to me, even though I disagree with it completely. That's okay. I confess I used this often in our last political environment, and it was the only thing that could bring me back to being grounded, rather than obsessively furious, disgusted. Over time with practice, this becomes something. The flow of the breath and the capacity increased to go to it and feel it, not think about it, but feel it, just as you are practicing now in your body, can be a part of you and your awareness when the other part is caught up in something that is calling for your attention. And in the case of an actual emergency, of course, you're going to be moving into that to take care of it. And you can also be aware of your breathing. Graceful and gracious. Even though your mind is doing exactly what minds know how to do. Predicting, jumping ahead, looking for resources, moving quickly, because your partner or your parent has just collapsed on the floor. Many people say that's not a time for mindfulness. Who wants to just sit there? True. The reality at that moment is not just sitting there, it's moving. And to move serenely into that reality. The bridge is the breath, my friends. And practicing it as we sit for mindfulness practice strengthens it. Much like a muscle becomes stronger by lifting a dumbbell, leaving it more resilient and more capable. This is the way it is to work with the breath, to work the breath, to follow the breath, and to strengthen the breath, so it is there when you need it, whether it's for intimacy or emergency. As Ty put it, like a water snake crossing the water. If you haven't seen one of those, it's a very smooth movement, steady, and creating no ripples. And we would assume with one focus in that water snake's instincts to get from one place to the other. Or maybe not. Maybe a water snake just snakes along, like washing the dishes. So mastering our breath does not mean to control it. It means to become one with it. And in that way, we become able to be fully present to whatever the reality is in front of us, not passive or stepped back, but present and wiser and more capable because we are present and steady in the reality of the moment. So look for a time today when you find your mind dispersed and you would like to be more focused. You've tried self-judgment and all the other things that sometimes work, but it's not working. And it never works real well. And bring yourself to the breath in just these ways, breathing in and breathing out, and notice what happens next. If I were with you, I would ask you. Namaste. Amen.